Okay, so let's listen to our sequence in Premiere Pro. We have a track with music and dialogue. So let's listen.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because it really builds your confidence.
So as you can hear, that's really distorted. So what we need to do is just change that. So first off, let's look at the music. So we can see the audio waves here are quite high. What I will firstly do is right click, go to audio gain, and I'll change it to, let's say, -12. Okay, and that's -12 dB stands for decibels. We'll press OK. So now you can see the audio waves have been reduced. So let's listen back to our clip and see how the music sounds.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because it really builds your.
Okay, another thing you need to do is pay attention to this audio levels here. You need to make sure it's not peaking. So before you could see it was hitting the red. So it was hitting 0, and we don't want it to hit 0. I think between a good volume is between -6 and -18 for dialogue. But I would, for the internet, you want to get it as close to 0 without being at 0. So I'd say have your volumes kind of at -6 decibels as opposed to maybe -12 if you're doing for broadcast settings. But you'll have to check, obviously, if you're doing broadcast, like what the actual levels are required for whatever broadcaster you're working for, okay, or you're delivering to. Because Netflix would have a different one to Sky TV for, or whatever you're working with. So just in terms of this clip we have here. Now, if we want to actually lower the volume of the music, what we can do is this little line here. You simply just hold it, and as you can see, the numbers of decibels are going down. So that controls the volume of that particular track. Let's play.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you.
Okay, so that sounds a lot better. But the only thing is, we don't want to drown out the dialogue of the person speaking. So what we need to do is just change the music to make it more of a music bed. So if I just add a keyframe here, if I press the pen tool here, which is shortcut P, and I can create some keyframes here. And then what I'm going to do is, you see this blue clip here. This is the clip of the woman speaking. So what I'm going to do is just lower the volume of the music.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because it really builds your confidence.
Okay, so now what we've done is we've lowered the volume of the actual music clip so that it's more of a music bed, and then we've raised the volume when the B-roll comes in and she stops speaking. So as Mel's speaking, let's listen.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because it really builds your confidence.
And then we can increase the volume of the music here.
Confidence.
You can see it's bouncing at around -12. So for the internet, say for example, if this was for YouTube, I might do it a bit louder. So around about there, that sounds good to me. So that's how you would control the volume here. And again, if you want to control the volume of the clip, then we go to the clip itself, and I'll just control the volume like this.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because it really builds your confidence.
Okay, so I kind of like that volume. So what you need to do as well, if you want to listen to the clips individually or the audio tracks individually without actually like deselecting the actual clips, this is what you do. If you go to the timeline here, you can either hit S for solo track. So now it will only play the dialogue track. So if I hit that.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best.
Now you only hear Mel's dialogue. I can also hit the mute button track here. So if I only want to hear the music, for example, and I hit mute on Mel's track, Now I only hear the music track. So that's useful if you want to actually do some audio mixing for specific tracks. So if I wanted to just work on the audio and check the audio levels, I would mute the dialogue track and then check the actual music separately. So I can see it's bouncing at this. I can see what like level it's actually bouncing at. So if I want to move it down, then I can lower it. So now I can see like it's moving about minus 30 decibels. So then I would mute the music track and then play the dialogue.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because...
I was going to lower it a little bit because it was peaking at the beginning.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because...
Okay, so now if I play it together.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because...
So now I can hardly hear the music, so I might turn it up a little bit by moving this up a little bit.
I think it's really hard to come along and actually get going, but it's the best thing you can do because it really builds your confidence.
Check out this video on how to remove background noise using Adobe's dynamic linking between Premiere Pro and Adobe Audition, or check out this video you might enjoy as well. Until next time, this has been Asten Regis helping you tell your story through video. Peace.